and thanks for staying with us. Customs intercept goods worth billions of naira from smugglers operating along the waterside. Also on customs reports, Kano Commands and Lagos Industrial continue to educate stakeholders in the maritime industry. Plus the budget breakdown by the CG of Customs at the National Assembly. I am Egeseme Etinye. Stay tuned. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service has said that customs operation is moving well in the country. He told House members that the service will continue to implement the budget approved by members of the National Assembly.
For tax evasion and economic sabotage, thus high level of this relationship must be deliberately structured in order to broaden our tax collectivity. Page 8, Mr. Chairman and distinguished senators. 2022 expected income. The service proposed a budget expenditure of 369.14 billion for the year 2022, which will be sourced from the following sources. First is the 7% cost of collection for the year 2022. We expect to reap 151.84 billion. Two, 60% CISS granted by Mr. President, we expect to reap 60.12 billion. And 2% share of the NCS VAT collection, there we expect to generate 14.94 billion. And then the retained income for the year 2021 to roll over to 2022 is 114.39 billion. And the share of the excess of the 2021 budget, which of course we couldn't have made any effort of spending it because it was not budgeted, as a result of the of exceeding the target, we were able to get this amount also added to our own collection. The total sum, therefore, distinguished chair, is 369.14 billion. The expected income will be utilized as follows. First, personnel cost. We expect, if everything goes well, to expend 108.85%, 85 billion, or 29.49% of the budget on personnel cost. Then overhead cost. We expect to spend 45.89 billion, or 12.43 billion of the entire budget. Capital cost. The total cost here is almost all the bulk of our money will go on capital expenditure. And here, this is one of the few budgets that is I think nationwide, that you find out that much money is put in capital instead of overhead and personnel costs. So here Mr. Chairman, by the grace of God, expect to spend 214.30 billion, which is 58.08% of the total budget of 369.04 billion. Major highlights of the proposed budget expenditure. Personnel cost for 2022. The nominal roll of 15,004 personnel and 3,200 expected recruitment of cadets are used in estimating the personnel cost of 108.85 billion, which comprises of 86.50 billion is an allocation for personnel salaries and allowances. 7.73 billion is provision for employers' contribution under the National Pension Scheme. 3.93 billion is a provision for employers' contribution to National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS.
He speaks further on a number of issues with members of the National Assembly.
And then I start with item 2 there, which is the review of the 2021 approved budget performance. Revenue performance of 2021 budget. The approved revenue target for the year 2021 stood at 1.679 trillion. The service collected a total revenue of 1.716 trillion for the period of January to December 2021. When compared to the approved revenue target of the same period, January to December 2020, the service surpassed its target by 504.34 billion, or 41.63%. The service also collected the sum of 525.06 billion as value-added tax on imports from January to December 2021, thereby bringing the total collection for the year 2021 to 2.241 trillion for the period under review. Page 3. Most importantly, the above remarkable performance was recorded amidst the following militating factors. As usual, as always, we continue to state this because they are part of the militating factors against what we believe would enhance the collection of revenue and maximizing our collection. First among them is the standing government, the deliberate trade and economic policies, monetary both and physical, such as the restriction of 43 items from accessing forex at official window. While we are not saying we're not against it, and I'm sure the wisdom behind this is good enough, but it is one of those things that has reduced the amount that we would have collected. 2, the non-functional scanners at the various customs scanning sites. This factor has adversely affected the service's ability to carry out effective examination for selective consignment, and the chairman made mention of this in his opening remarks. 3, only 2 commodities, cigarette and alcoholic beverages, were under excise control within the period under review. So we are yet to get the directive to start collecting the 10% on carbonated drink, and also we are yet to come to terms of who is going to collect the telecommunication excise. That is still under process, and it is our hope that before the end of the first quarter of this year, we will precisely get go ahead to start collecting, because every day that passes by, we are losing revenue.
The Deputy Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service, in charge of excise, has said that Nigerian Customs Service will continue to operate with the free trade zone operators in the country. She commended the roles played by some of them, saying that the CJ of Customs will always support them as long as they operate according to customs guidelines.
We know, and everybody here should know, that the free trade zones are a different entity. They operate different laws other than the laws that guide Nigeria. We in custom know that very well. And that is why we make sure that all the stops, all the checks that happen to general goods on imports are not done in these free zones. Answer: if and when a free zone imports their raw materials, if they start documentation on time, you won't tell me that we don't have enough escort officers. It is only when you now come, I want this transfer to be tomorrow. There are other requests for goods going to other places. We have inland containers. Some are in Kano in the east, even in Enugu where it came from. We have. So there are always requests. So you have to make don't wait for your goods to arrive before you start making those requests. That is what we call timely documentation. Once you do that, you won't have any problems. Taken care of as soon as the automation is in place. Custom will only inspect the goods that they have doubts about. As soon as this automation is done, it is only when you won't see people every time they will call for examination. No, we are going to, and very soon, pass that era of physical examination, and then, all those stuffs is going to pass very soon, sir. And landing certificates, I agree with you that NEBSA is supposed to have a copy of the landing certificates. It's actually supposed to be, one should be for NEBSA.
You are watching the program Customs Report. The Customs Area Controller in charge of Osun Command has intercepted goods worth millions of naira for smugglers operating along the nation's borderline. A total of 76 seizures were recorded between the month of January to date. The controller has this to say about the seizures.
For April 2002, the command collected a total revenue of 5,434,756,547 naira 04 kobo. This, when you compare with the same figure for last year, there was an increase of 905,917,556 naira 46 kobo. When you add this to what we've recorded from January up to date, the commanders recorded a total revenue of 31,603,833 naira 66 kobo only. We have 57,723 liters of PMS. This is, you agree with me, this is almost 2 trailer loads, tanker loads of PMS, which people try to get out of this country, despite the fact that we know that we all have the scarcity of this commodity. Then we have base of second collision and the rest of them, but you see them in the attached list. I would like to mention that these achievements showcased here today were made possible through timely sharing of credible intelligence and effective collaboration between vigilant officers and men of the command, various intervention units of the service, and the general public. That's, the good people for your Osun Command, by way of giving timely information that has helped the command in the fight against smuggling and illicit anti-border activities. So we have here 45 crates of second-hand clothing. 45 crates of second-hand clothing of various sizes. There are 16 jumbo bags of various sizes of these shoes with EPV value of 920.
The Kano State Customs Command has told stakeholders to always obey rules as approved by the management of Nigerian Customs Service. He said the rules will further help the system to advance without delay.
All factories producing the goods mentioned above must, as a matter of urgency, take an entry or make an entry on premises. This is a written application by the manufacturers in the prescribed form set for 1.
The Customs Area Controller in charge of Lagos Industrial has urged factory owners to come forward and pay taxes to government. She said that the government urged all industrial operators that Nigerian Customs Service will continue to collect levy starting from 1st of June this year. She urged them to make sure that all of them pay duty according to laid down rules. Speaking at the stakeholders meeting in Lagos, the controller commended the factory owners for their timely payment of excise duty before introduction of the new policy. According to her, government needs revenue from excise duty to be able to provide necessary infrastructure and grow the economy for the benefit of all citizens as well as investors.
Fiscal policy, having given you people 90 days to prepare for all this, it's expected by now you would have all done that, so that with effect from 1st of June, we will kickstart the new fiscal policy. We know it might not be too easy for you, considering the extra costs, but we don't have a choice. That's the wisdom of the the federal government to be able to put up a lot of things. We need a lot of infrastructures to run the current expenditure of this nation.
She said a grace of 90 days has been given to factory owners for the implementation of the new rates. These are non-alcoholic products.
The UCL will have to be put into consideration. The number two is the liter, the price per liter. That's 10 naira, like if it's the carbonated drinks, 10 naira per liter, based on your UCL. That's how the duty will be collected.
She said that the government will continue to promote good working relationship with stakeholders in the industry.
Yeah, it's a very fruitful discussion, and we thank God and we thank the CGC and the management team for making sure that the service is now going to be digitalized through the automation of bin value and all other custom procedures. And that's not enough. We also carry our stakeholders along to ensure that we share our vision together. And the vision of today is to make sure that bin valuation is being automated and deployed immediately after their acceptance. And good enough, the acceptance is very clear. They have seen it, and we also assure them it's a transition process which cannot be achieved only one day. So some of the things that we cannot be able to resolve has been forwarded, and they have agreed and for the deployment, and it's a milestone that we have achieved today. Issues has been addressed because when it comes to deployment of an application, particularly an application like that, you must have a teething problem, and we need to have to carry people along so that we share views and understand the process. And that is what we achieved today. Before this, we have called them to Abuja, and at Abuja, we have discussed these issues extensively. We have demonstrated it through the passive server, and we have showed them a presentation. They have accepted the presentation, and still before deployment, the management said, no, let us come still and show them that this is actually what is going to be on board. And we have shown them what is going to be on board, and they accepted what is going to be on board, and definitely is going to be a win-win situation for both the stakeholders and the service, because human contact is now going to be removed, simplification of the procedures as well as automation of the procedures is going to be informed.
The meeting was very interactive, and we had a good turnout of our stakeholders, and we shared ideas. They raised their challenges, they asked questions, a lot of their concerns were addressed, and I'm sure the feedback will be taken back to the management for other issues that will come up in the future. Now, you know, when you introduce a system, there will always be challenges, but we cannot afford to remain in one place. We must make progress, like all other countries of the world. So the VIN valuation is a very good system. It brings predictability. It adds security value. We have the issue of stolen vehicles. That will eliminate that. Trade facilitation, so many. So it was a very good meeting. And I can assure you there will be further engagements in the near future. It's not a one-time event. There will be continuous engagements.
We have no other thing to say but to say thank you for this administration. Thank you for our CGC, Colonel Hamid Ali retired, for making this VIN valuation solution possible at this time. Because this VIN valuation solution has been what we've been looking for to ease doing business, to facilitate trade, legitimate trade, and to standardize value across all border stations. And today, we're happy that after this stakeholders meeting, we had over 99% buy-in of the stakeholders. I congratulate the service under the able leadership of our CG. We have not had this good, but we thank him that anytime we talk about IT solutions, he's always there to advise and to support. This VIN valuation would do a lot of things. It will give us accurate statistics for national use. It will ease integration of all MDAs to our 962 when it comes to vehicle. It will also facilitate legitimate trade. This will allow us to have data on all vehicles coming into this country, and it will help us track, for instance, all the vehicles used, either stolen or that are used by people that don't want this nation to have peace. We thank you, our CGC. We cannot thank you enough, but we are most grateful that today we could have the buy-in of almost all the stakeholders. And we know by the time this thing comes go live on Saturday, we will have a seamless clearance of vehicles all over this federation. It has not happened like this before, but under your leadership, we thank you so much, and we pray that God, in his infinite mercy, will be with you. Revenue will increase because there would be no rancor, there will be no negotiated price. It's a standard price for all vehicles. And with what they displayed today, with the buying we have, there would be a high throughput of vessels bringing in vehicles into the country. So we expect a sporadic revenue increase with this VIN valuation service because it has standardized value across all border stations, both land and sea. So and like I said before, revenue would generally go up, and it will also help us security-wise.
The Western Marine Command of Nigerian Customs Service has accepted cannabis worth over 168 million naira. The controller will be importers to stop smuggling cannabis into the country. Umar Abubakar explained that the value of cannabis is put at 168 million naira, adding that the importation of contravene Section 24B of SEMA Cap 45 as amended.
On physical examination and counting, it was discovered to be 32 bags containing 2,520 pieces of cannabis sativa weighing 1,437 kilograms. The street value of the cannabis stood at 186 million only. This is a case of absolute prohibition.
He said that 2 wooden boats were also intercepted with foreign rights along the nation's waterways. Other seized items include vegetable oil, shoe, and sacks of second-hand clothing.
They should vacate the western waterways and the creeks. If they don't, we will take the fight to their doorstep as a service. We are capable, we are willing, we have the political will, and we have the ability to take them out of business. They should look for a better business to do than smuggling.
He said no arrest was made because the smugglers jumped into the sea. He handed over the seized drugs to NDLA officials in Lagos.
Executive Officer, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, General M.E. Maura retired. We commend and appreciate the Nigerian Customs Service for this synergy, and we pray we will continue to deepen this collaboration. So thank you very much for your presence.
Just before I round up this week edition of the program Customs Report, we brought you a report where goods worth millions of naira was seized by most commands in the country. For me, Igiseme Etienne, thanks for watching.